I mean, Jordan Poole, I have no hope for him. He's not a good basketball player.
Who are you to call this, to say this man is not a good basketball player? Like, who are you? Like, do you know what it takes to get to the NBA? So it's just the audacity in the statement.
All right, Kevin O'Connor, go in a room with Bob Meyer and tell him that. Go in the room with Steve Kerr. They're probably going to tell you what Klay Thompson told the media the other day. It's kind of hard to hear what a good shot or a bad shot or what a good basketball player is or a bad basketball player is from someone who's never played the game. Because I don't know that Kevin O'Connor has ever played in the NBA. Silence. So,
but I got to tell you, right now, these playoffs in the East, Zena, for me, they're not doing anything. Like, I'm just like, come on now.
By the way, when Shaq said that last night, I'm like, thank God Shaq didn't step on somebody's chest, man. That would have been bad.
There are some people, the Lakers are making that run, they get it to 14. You and LeBron have that exchange. There are people out there that say maybe you shouldn't do that with one of the better players in the game. What were you thinking?
I don't care. He's old. You know what I mean? I was waiting for that. I was expecting him to do that game 4, game 5. He wanted to say something when I got my 4th foul. He should have been saying that earlier on. But, you know, I poke bears. I don't respect no one until they come and give me 40.
Hey, man, I'm going to say something that nobody that I'm aware of has ever said. And that's that Dillon Brooks is a damn genius. A comedic genius, but a genius nonetheless, okay?
Why?
I mean, because he can't lose. There is no downside here, okay? Because if LeBron doesn't give him 40, if 38-year-old LeBron can't summon 40, Dillon Brooks could be like, I told you so, and don't let the Grizzlies win. Because if you think he's talking that shit now, let the Grizzlies win this series, especially without Ja, who, by the way, they're 27-8 the last 2 years without Ja Morant. Explain that. Anyway, so if LeBron doesn't go off, you know, he pokes the bear and nothing happens. If LeBron does go off, it's like, hey, it's LeBron James. You're welcome. I gave him what he needed, you know, and he took that personally, you know. So it's like there is no downside, because the only reason we talk about Mr. 12 points on 14 shots is because of stuff like this. And he leans all the way in. See, Michael, you know what I love about people in general. I love people who are consistent and people who are committed. And Dillon Brooks is consistently a heel. He is consistently the butt of the joke. He knows we are laughing at him more than we're laughing with him, but yet he is committed to it. He leans all the way in. Like, just look at how he dresses. Like, he finds ways to get people to keep talking about him. And if he's saying this in front of the microphone, you know good and damn well he's saying it to LeBron when he's clapping in his face. I'm here for it. Everybody needs that heel, that villain. Like, he grew up wanting to be Draymond. He ain't as good as Draymond, but in the trash talking, annoying department, he's pretty daggone close already.
You said he's consistent. He's committed.
He's committed to his role.
And he's also Canadian. Trying too hard. Doing too much. All right, like stop it. We know it. Friendly neighbors, got it. We understand.
Bears.
I poke bears. I'm sure you do. You're Canadian. You see bears. Okay, you see bears. Roaming around Saskatchewan somewhere. Alberta. I got you. All right, listen. LeBron's used to this, Mike. You know, I was thinking about this the other day. Why does LeBron draw these types of guys? Like, usually, it's not Kevin Durant. It's not the Kevin Durants of the world. It's not Giannis. It's not all NBA great players. It's think back. Deshaun Stevenson back in the day. Yeah. Lance Stevenson blowing in his ear. And now we got Dillon Brooks. I mean, like, these dudes.
There's a tradition of dudes coming at the king and literally missing. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean, if we were in the nautical world, these are barnacles. Okay, these are barnacles just trying to jump on, trying to get something from this massive structure to survive. So LeBron is used to the Dillon. Really, I mean, it's used to the Dillon Brooks types who need him to survive, to be relevant.
But
Dillon
Brooks coming at him like, would you right now? Would you pick a fight with an old man? You know I love the Boondocks. Shout out to Aaron Magruder. This is like fighting Stink Meaner. It's like, but LeBron will still give you 40. He's still great. But it's like, would you really fight an old dude? Because like, who fights an old dude? So Dillon Brooks can poke this bear now and say stuff like, yeah, it'd really been a challenge if I had guarded when he was in Cleveland or Miami. First of all, clever. Secondly, it ain't like he could go back then and do it. All you can do is just talk trash, and there's no real accountability for it.
Here's the other thing. Last thing I say, because he's not really. Because Dillon Brooks ain't even worth all this. But the funny thing
we
is,
should move on to important people.
Old LeBron,
right,
at 38, go be 39. He's like 38 and a half now. Old LeBron, he's not 38 and a half quite, but is better than young Dillon Brooks. LeBron, even past his prime, is a superior player to. So what's he talking about?
Hell,
that's why LeBron.
For all we know, Bronny James is better than Dillon Brooks. I mean, let's just stop there.
Now you're going too far.
I know. I'm trying to channel my inner Dillon Brooks because I respect nobody unless they give me 40. They got to give me 40 to read, not 28 and 12. Yeah,
not 30. Not 30. 40.
Yeah.
40.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead. Quick question. We'll move on to somebody else. Go ahead. Yeah.
Who wins this series? Who you got winning this series?
I would have said the Lakers after game 1, but I forgot how good the Grizzlies are without Ja. I'm going to say the Grizzlies. And then when the Lakers win game 3, I'll flip back to the Lakers. Speaking of Bears and speaking of hibernation, that was a forced transition there. I liked your feed item. We really need to give Denver some love. Is it because of the conversation around MVP and Jokic kept pointing to his lack of postseason performance, or is it just ho-hum 1-8 against dysfunctional Minnesota? But this is the 1 seed with the 2-time MVP that I recognize it was the bubble, but once upon a time looked like they were next, but for injuries, and it doesn't feel like we're quite looking at them as favorites. Did I steal your thunder?
I'm telling you, you got it. You got it all. Look, here's the thing. We talked about Jokic all season long. All season long, whether it's like the debate over is Jokic a 3-time MVP, and if we give Jokic a 3 straight MVPs, what are we saying about, Bill Russell and all these other great players, and Larry Bird, who have won 3 straight? Is he on that level? Jokic analytics, Jokic Embiid, Jokic Giannis. We didn't really talk about in depth as an NBA basketball loving community, the team that Jokic is on. He's on a number 1 seed. The Denver Nuggets are not a fluke one. In a down west, they were the best team in the down west. You want to talk about committed and consistent, and not even close to Canada. That is the Denver Nuggets. They were that the entire year. They've got one of the best players in basketball, some say the best, on one of the best teams in basketball, and they're proving it. Yeah, they gave up a big lead. They gave what? Nobody said what?
Nobody said he's a 2-time MVP. 2-time MVP. Nobody says he's the best player. You said some say the best. Nobody says that. Respectfully.
Really?
Nobody says Nikola Jokic is the best player. I've never heard anybody say Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA.
Is the best player?
No, I've never.
Best player in basketball?
I've never heard that.
Is that a hot take?
I've never heard
that. Is that a hot take? Is that hot?
From you? Are you? Wait, I'm confused.
From anybody.
Are you saying he's the best player in the league, or arguably? Are you saying he's arguably the best player, or
he's arguably?
Are you saying that some? Are you saying that some people say? No, he's not arguably.
You never heard.
I've never heard anybody make that argument.
About the
no, but you're giving him his flowers. I get it. You're giving him his flowers. I understand what you're going.
But I don't want to get a sidetrack. But I'm saying like a back-to-back MVP who has put up historic numbers, who has done things from his position that we've never seen before.
Best passing center of all time.
But I've
never heard somebody make the argument that he's the best player.
There are 3 or 4.
Whether it's Steph or whether it's Giannis. Yeah.
There are like 3 or 4 guys who are in that conversation.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I don't know that it's been much of a. That's what I wanted to clarify.
But I'm not hating. But I'm not hating on anybody who says.
I'm not hating too.
He's the best player. He's the best player in basketball.
Jokic. But I feel like ever since a couple of years ago when Giannis, dropped that 50 piece to close out the Suns, that conversation has started and ended with Giannis, whether or not Giannis gets a third, not consecutive, but a third MVP regardless.
Well, that's where I disagree with you. That's where I disagree. I love Giannis, but that conversation doesn't end.
It kind of felt consensus. Okay.
Right. It's fluid.
It felt like it was
It's
no,
not
it's definitely
firm.
fluid.
It's always
and
a
it can
fluid conversation.
shift, but it feels like for the last couple of years, the consensus has been Giannis is the best player, MVP or not.
But
Giannis didn't play last night, and there was a.
But my big takeaway. My big takeaway, just real quick, my big takeaway is the Denver Nuggets are, here's their word, provocative word, Denver Nuggets have been underrated all season long. They've been overlooked.
I agree. I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Even as a
underrated,
one
overlooked,
seed,
and
I would agree with
or
that.
maybe both.
I agree.
That's all.
I get it. I'm picking up what you're putting down, even as a one seed. The one seed Milwaukee Bucks. You had this in your feed the other day. He said it's going to be a long series even without Giannis. It might not be, but in reverse. Because the Heat don't have Tyler Hero. And just a couple of numbers, and then we can talk about your Milwaukee Bucks. I'm surprised you didn't break out the T-shirt today. 138 to 122. Most points ever scored in a playoff game by a team without their leading scorer from the regular season. And it's not just any leading scorer, it's that guy.
That's amazing.
25 threes, tied a playoff record. 7 players in double figures. 6 who scored at least 15, matches another NBA record. I mean, they're not going to make 25 threes a game, but this just in. Like the Grizzlies, they're damn good without their superstar.
Yeah, and Mike, I got to say I've been guilty of this, not necessarily on this show. When I talk locally, you got to pander to a certain audience. when I talk locally about the Milwaukee Bucks, I've been a little dismissive of them, saying, oh, the Celtics are much better than Milwaukee. It doesn't matter. Milwaukee is the 1 seed. Celtics are the 2. Celtics can go into Milwaukee and win a game 7. It may not even get to game 7. Look, the Milwaukee Bucks did something last night that I don't think many teams in these playoffs, how many we got, 16 left? Okay, out of 16 teams in the playoffs, I don't know any of them who can lose their best player and then win by that margin. I don't know if anybody can do that. I mean, they made it look so easy. They stayed on them. They jumped on them early. I thought somebody, if you had said to me before the game, somebody's going to be down by 20 points at halftime, 20 or more points at halftime, I would have said, of course, it's going to be the Milwaukee Bucks without Giannis. They're reeling. They don't know what to do. Playoff Jimmy Butler did his thing. Bam Adebayo did his thing.
Deer in headlights.
So Milwaukee, they have been the best team all season long. Really, they really went into overdrive. And Malcolm Brogdon former Buck Malcolm Brogdon, the last thing I'll say, former Buck Malcolm Brogdon gave voice to this probably like 8 or 9 games left in the regular season. He said, the Bucks took the number 1 seed from us. We're a little surprised by it, quote, and we want it back. Even though they went to Milwaukee and blew them out, the Celtics did not take it back from them because Milwaukee continued to win with or without Giannis. So props to the Milwaukee Bucks as well.
All right, pivoting to the NFL draft, which is a week from today, baby. Christmas is a week from today. And as the draft gets closer.
Mo Roberts, I'm going back in franchise mode.
Oh, as the draft gets closer, it gets weirder. The reporting, quote unquote, the conversation gets weirder, particularly around a guy that you, to use a general manager, a personnel executive term, have been pounding the table and standing on the table. You've been standing on it and pounding it at the same time for one, C.J. Stroud.
And look, man, I'm a Buckeye through and through, okay? It's in my veins. But I look at it, and I think if C.J. Stroud doesn't go first, maybe people are overthinking it.
Charles, what are you hearing about A-Rich and the possibility of him going number 1 to the Panthers? That's the one way to replace Cam Newton, is with the new Cam Newton.
I absolutely think it's legitimate that he is part of the assessment.
Some people can't help it. You can't like Mike, Charles, can't help some people. I hope they do it.
I do
too. Some people
Mike,
just can't help him.
Charles,
you can't help him.
Mike is pounding the table for C.J. Stroud at number. He is standing on the table.
Obvious. It's so obvious.
C.J.
He's the best quarterback. It's obvious. It's obvious.
Clip it.
That-
Clip this.
Y'all got too much time. They got too much time to evaluate. Oh, you know what?
That
I'm
is-
gonna look at something else. Go ahead, take Anthony Richardson. Go ahead, do it. Congratulations.
Connor Rogers, I don't want to give even more life to something by speaking it, because it sounds like one of those things that people say and then more people repeat it and now it becomes a thing. And that is that CJ Stroud could slide. The Texans may go defense or they may trade out and, Richardson could go ahead of him. Obviously, it feels like Bryce Young, it'd be a major upset if he's not the number 1 overall pick at this point. But what is the deal when it comes to the conversation around CJ Stroud? Because now we got, certain former first-round picks, I'm not going to use the B word, certain former first-round quarterbacks talking about not showing up to Manning Academy and yada, yada. What's the deal with CJ Stroud from what you're hearing?
I think a lot of it, guys, comes down to that it feels like the Texans are starting to get cold feet to just take a quarterback at 2 overall. And obviously, that seems insane when you look at the bucket that Stroud should be viewed in as the consensus number 2 quarterback in this draft and worthy of a top 3 selection for a franchise that's been trotting out Davis Mills and a couple other guys since they traded Deshaun Watson. And I kind of wonder a couple of things about this. One, are they trying to play it safe and just take the best overall player in the draft and they want to take Will Anderson or a defensive player, and DeMeco Ryans says, I can win with defense because that's what we do. I also wonder, is there any lingering relations here, considering CJ Stroud is represented by the same group that represents Deshaun Watson? Is there something between the GM, ownership? I don't know, but it makes you wonder, and that seems like a bad business decision to not
silly.
take a guy.
I was about to say.
That would be
ridiculous.
No, you're right. It would be ridiculous, but it's something that you
Yeah.
genuinely hear when you ask people, which is bad practice all around. So, and then the third thing, guys, it makes me wonder this time of year, it's silly season, right? Like we haven't heard a ton of buzz about Anthony Richardson lately. We've heard Will Levis is already on the Colts. It's just hard to believe that everything changes all of a sudden when we're 7 days away from the draft.
Right.
You know what? I want to know from both of you guys, both of you football insiders, the last time, examples of somebody who told you just the unfiltered, no-spin truth before the draft. Now, Michael Smith, I can think of an example when Charlie Casserly told you that he was not taking Reggie Bush with the number 1 overall pick, even though everybody said it's going to be Reggie Bush. And Charlie Casserly said, no, we're taking Mario Williams. He told you that. He told you it was Mario Williams. And he was telling the truth. Can you think of an example of people telling the truth before the draft? Because that stands out to me because most of the time it doesn't happen. I think they're all lying. I don't hold it against them. No judgment. I think everybody's lying, especially in the top 5. They all lie.
Well, Connor, I'll go first on this one because I don't think everybody's lying. I think it's how do you define truth? And I'll go back to that word unfiltered. The media, and there's a whole lot more insiders in the 2006 draft that you just referenced. There's a lot of people trafficking in inside information. So they're the filters. We're the filters, right? And so we don't know who they're really talking to, an unnamed personnel executive or, a league source. Who the hell is that? That person could be speaking his or her truth as the case may be. But his or her truth may be crap, Connor. It may be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right. Fair point.
Absolutely.
Fair point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it also depends on
and they may
the
not
trust
know
factor,
anything,
right? Yeah. And then there's the trust factor. There's people that I know they're always telling me the truth because they know I'm not going to tell anybody else. And that's a relationship between us that obviously is trust over years and years. And that person, whether they have connections to players or teams or they are working for a team, they've been honest with you. They haven't burned you over the years because you're really just gathering that information. It could be for mock draft purposes. It could be figuring out the board. It could be figuring out the projection of players. But you're not going to jump on your podcast or whatever it is and say, I know that Arizona is not going to take Will Anderson at 3. That matters a lot in this business.
Yeah. Hey, it was just a couple of years ago where this time people were lying, the Niners were lying about Mac Jones being the 3rd overall pick, only to trade up for eventually Trey Lance, who we still don't know what Trey Lance is. He's barely played football since being drafted, and he barely played football when he came out of college.
Yeah.
Now there's word that the Niners are receiving calls on Trey Lance. And here's why I call bullshit on that, Connor. Because if Brock Purdy's your quarterback, which he is, there's no debate about this. Brock Purdy, when healthy, is the quarterback. Sam Darnold was not signed to be the third. He was signed to compete for the backup job. If the Niners are really getting calls on Trey Lance, then why isn't he traded already? Because if you're the 49ers, you are not in position to say, nah, this guy that barely played that we traded up for and gave up all these picks, we want a first for him. You ain't getting it. Your best bet if you're the Niners is to salvage whatever you can get for this, unfortunately, failed investment in Trey Lance and to move on. I think this is just the Niners, respectfully, trying to drum up interest on Trey Lance from somewhere. But if they're getting calls on Trey Lance, a deal should have been done or should be in the process of getting done, because what's the alternative? Holding on to him? For what?
It 100% is. This is the Niners' first signal to the public across the league that, hey, this guy's available. And like you said, they're trying to recoup value. And you really do have to do it now, because as he enters year 3 of his rookie deal, he might actually have some value because he doesn't cost anything. He's younger than Hendon Hooker and Will Levis, by the way, Trey Lance. And he's somebody that there's plenty of GMs in the league that they might still have their report on Trey Lance and go, I just think he hasn't been healthy. But I don't think it's not going to be a first. I actually don't think it's going to be a second-round pick. I think, unfortunately, that's how far this has fallen. But this is the Niners saying, we're probably not going to be going into training camp with Trey Lance because, let's be real, guys, there are reps usually for the first and second string guy, and Trey Lance is neither of those right now.
Let me ask you guys this. Okay, I just want to give you context real quick, then I'll ask a question before you say, oh, you're crazy. Bill O'Brien, Patriots offensive coordinator, spoke this week, and you know what he didn't say? Amazingly. He didn't say the name of Mac Jones. He did that old school Bill Parcells thing when he was mad at somebody. I talked to the player. I talked to the player's agent, the quarterback, all that thing. I'm like, okay. Yeah. Now this is, I say it's amazing because Billy O'Brien couldn't do his job at Alabama if not for Bryce Young and Mac Jones teaching his ass the offense. He would have been just stuck. They both taught him the Alabama offense. Mac Jones taught it to him his way out the door. Okay, so they're playing games with Mac Jones. Billy O'Brien ain't feeling them, seems like it. Bill Belichick's not feeling them. Trey Lance for Mac Jones. Who says no?
Who says no?
Straight up. Who says no? Who says no?
The Patriots.
Yeah.
Really?
That's the answer. Yeah, it's New England.
Why?
Yeah.
Bill Belichick said at the league meetings that they're both Bailey Zappi, and Mac Jones were going to play. So they're putting Bailey Zappi and Mac.
If you're trading, right? So if you're trading Mac Jones, you're not trading for Trey Lance because of the presence of Bailey Zappi. But beyond that, look, Michael, we talked to Trey Lance. Trey Lance seems like a nice young man. He's had literally bad break after bad break in San Francisco. But man, I don't know that he can play quarterback in the NFL.
Ooh.
Mac Jones can play quarterback. There's just some friction with the New England Patriots.
You said it, and you said it more emphatically than Bill Belichick did. Bill Belichick said, he stumbled as he said, well, Mac has the ability to play quarterback in this league. Hey, man, spit it out. He even hedged on that statement. Yeah. Connor, do you think that Trey Lance can play? Do you think he can play worthy of a top 10 selection? Forget about number, I know we haven't seen that much, but what's your feeling based on a little bit that you've seen?
I really liked what I saw from him in college in terms of tools, whether it's the arm strength, the big body to run and take on contact. And, like you guys have hinted, he just hasn't had any injury luck to develop and actually get reps. So I think with reps, Lance can be a starting quarterback in this league, but I think he needs to go to a situation where he's not even in that spotlight. I look at teams with veterans on expiring contracts. Tennessee, Ryan Tannehill, the last year of his deal. The Vikings, Kirk Cousins on the last year of his deal. I mean, that would be those would be situations where Trey Lance goes in, he's the number 2, he gets the number 2 reps, and if he shows you something during the summer and taking those number 2 reps, you can plan for a future with Trey Lance. But I don't think he should be thrusted into a scenario where he's expected to compete for the starting job because it feels like he's just so far away from that right now.
Hey, last thing before we let you go, man. Where's Bijan gonna go? I'm asking for real purposes. I'm also asking for dynasty purposes. Landing spot. I mean, because we talk about the devaluing of the running back position, but it feels like this guy breaks the mold and maybe the exception, that rare exception for a running back that could go earlier than we've seen the last few years.
He's going to go early. It felt like for so long we were talking about the Bengals and the Bills in the back end of round one. That dream is dead in my eyes. I look at the Cowboys exactly. I think as far as he could fall is maybe the Chargers all the way down to 21 with what's gone on with Austin Eckler. Yeah, that would be a great fit. They could finally run in between the tackles. Eckler's on the last year of his deal. But I think he goes earlier than that. It feels like everybody has come full circle on Bijan where they go, we don't care that he's a running back. That could also play in the slot, by the way. When you watch him, he could be motioned out and be an effective wide receiver as well. He's just a top 5 player in this draft. And eventually you hit a point of this draft after really 9 or 10 players or so where he's too talented to pass up on. So I think the conversation, interestingly enough, could start as early as Atlanta at 8, Chicago at 9, and probably end somewhere with the Chargers at 21.
My God.
So you can see him going as high as 9. Wow.
Justin Fields, Bijan Robinson backfield. Good luck stopping that. Hey, man, we appreciate the insight. We'll talk to you next week. 1 week to go, Connor. 1 week. We will talk to you next week, buddy. All right, man.
Can't wait.
Take it easy.
Thanks, guys. Talk soon.
All right, bro.
Thank you, Connor.
I just don't regret wanting to protect you, Will. Wanted to keep Lou from hurting you.
I mean, to be honest, I don't really know Lou. So the fact that he turned out to be a bum doesn't surprise me. But that my mom, Aunt Viv, and you lied to me my whole life, that's what hurt.
You put your trust in me and I let you down. And for that, I owe you an overdue apology, Will. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Michael, you know Bel-Air is one of my favorite shows, and that's not just me being a company man because it's right here on Peacock. I told you from the word go that it was better than the original Fresh Prince, which is obviously iconic. Well, but I was wrong for that, and I regret that take. I even got it in my feed that it's better, but I thought about it more as we preparing for this conversation with two of the stars. Is that I think it's not that it's disrespectful to the original, because the original is iconic. It was groundbreaking for a lot of reasons. We know that. But it's disrespectful to Bel-Air, because Bel-Air is so good and so dramatically, emphasis on drama, different from the original, that it stands on its own. It deserves better than to be compared to the original. Yeah. And it's so good. My wife and I watch it together. She get on my nerves because she do that thing where she sneak ahead, and she because episode 9 is out now, and she sneaks ahead and watches it without me, but then gets mad if I do the same thing for another show. But that's a conversation for another day. With that, let's welcome in Adrian Holmes, who plays Uncle Phil, Jordan L. Jones, who plays Jazz. They are incredible. The show is incredible. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. And Adrian, I'll start with you, and then Jordan weigh in as well on this. I like to go behind the camera, off camera, and just what the cast chemistry is like with Jabari, with Cassandra, with Coco, among you guys. It's so obvious that you guys get along so well off camera, and it transfers to on the screen. So Adrian, could you speak to that first, then followed by Jordan, just how you guys are a family off camera as well as on camera?
Well, yeah, as you said, the chemistry that you see on screen is because we all get along and we all are just we just care about each other and we're just blessed to be working with a cast that is not only talented but is just down to earth and grounded and supportive, and we just enjoy each other's company. We hang out on a regular, so when we get to work, we all feel so safe and it's just cool and easy. And Jordan, I remember when I met Jordan, we had a good conversation. It was episode 2, season 1. We were doing our basketball practice with what's her man name? Lethal Shooter, exactly. And we were right by our trailers, and we just got into good fellowship. We just connected, and I think that we both are products of single moms, and we call God on a regular, and we're just so much in alignment. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's I gotta say, Jordan is one of the real ones, man. I really enjoy his company, and he's really killing it in this role, and as everybody is. I'm just proud to be a part of this ensemble and of this incredible machine. It's a dream come true. It really is very special.
Jordan?
Yeah, ditto, man. I think, one of the things my mom always says is, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And because seriously, I've been on a lot of productions where it's kind of like, you don't have to, at the end of the day, it's a job. It is. And, it's not a bad or a good thing if you go to work and you come home and you talk to your own friends or whatever. But the fact that I have created all these great relationships with these people, to the fact that, like, I'll tell you guys a story, like, and Adrian can attest to this. There's a lot of times where, like, I might not be working, but I still pull up to set. And
we're like, what are you doing here, bro?
Yeah. And that's how fun it is and how great everyone is that, like, on your day off, you go to work. So that can tell you how the chemistry is and how close-knit we actually are as a family. And I think that translates on screen, man.
Well, literally, correct me if I'm wrong, I think I heard that Jabari Banks, who plays Will, he actually crashed at your crib, Jordan? He's doing that he was doing it until he went back home in season 2, but he actually crashed at your crib in real life.
Life imitating art right there.
I was going to say, life imitates art, man, yes. At the end of season 1, it was a thing where, like, he was getting a new place, and the lease for his place was up. But he had like a month between and moving. And I was like, yeah, come crash. He actually stayed with me for like a month. That's when, like, we got closer. And it's kind of like how the show is, you know what I'm saying? And after a while, just like the show, I'm like, hey, man, we ain't gonna get up out of here, man.
And he moved into my building.
I know.
Oh, wow.
That's real.
That's real. He's my neighbor now, so. Yeah, we close. We're all very close.
Mike said off the top, very powerfully how much he enjoys the show and he watches it with his wife. And of course, his wife, she will skip ahead, but we're not allowed to do it. But we're not going to get into that. We're not going to get into that. We're not going to get into the double standards here, get anybody in trouble. But he talked about his relationship with the original and what you're doing right now. How about you two, Jordan and Adrian? What was your relationship with the original, and how does that inform what you're doing right now?
Well, the original, it was lightning in a bottle, and it was perfect for the time, and it was a completely different format. It's a half-hour comedy, but they touch on important issues as we do, but they explore it through laughter and the comedy element. Our show. It's a longer runway. It's a 1-hour drama. So we have more time to really get into the characters, to dissect them, to peel back the layers and understand, their origin stories. It's really in tune with the climate that we're in today. Every show is for a time. And I think this show is perfect for this time and for this generation. So we're just so grateful that we get to put our spin on these iconic characters. And that was something that Morgan Cooper said to us all right off the bat. He's like, look, you guys don't feel that you have to, reenact these characters. These are the OGs. You know, we just, you know, learn from them, and we, you know, try to capture their essence and the energy and the vibe, but to put our own spin on it, our own fingerprint on it, that relates to, you know, the world that we live in today. And that's why, you know, the younger generation are really connecting and responding well to it, because they're really, they can identify with what we're doing.
Once again, ditto. But seriously, for me, Fresh Prince is something that is my favorite show of all time. I watch it every night to go to bed. It's either like Fresh Prince, Martin, like Jamie Foxx show. Like I watch those. Like last night, just watched it to go to sleep. Like seen every episode. So, short story. Like I actually turned this audition down because without reading the script, as my favorite show, I'm like, are they redoing Fresh Prince, the comedy, a sitcom? Like, there's no way that can be done. And you know, my manager the next day was like, I'm not gonna let you turn this down. It'll be perfect for you.
Wow.
Read the script. I read the script, and you know, the rest is history. But I will say that is what it means to me, that I would turn it down because that's how good the show is. Reading the script and kind of to answer your question fully, it's like, you know, talking to DJ Jazzy Jeff, and obviously subconsciously we have these characters embedded in us. Like I know so much about the Fresh Prince, but like Adrian said, like this is a dramatic retelling. It's not a reboot. This is a different vibe. So that's great that they, you know, got a chance to explore during that time period through laughter. But because we're a dramatic take, it's not like I'm in the trailer like, okay, how would DJ Jazzy Jeff, you know, portray this here or what he would do, because in the original he didn't get Hillary and then I did, so it's like I can't even.
Oh yeah, you did.
I can't even really.
You smooth with it too, man. You smooth with it. So the question is though, Adrian, but I do want to get back to the spin you talked about, Adrian. But real quick, are you going to throw Jazz out? Are you going to throw him out the house?
I was just going to get to that. I was just going to get to that actually.
Okay.
You know, there was a scene in season 1 in the hotel. You remember that, Jordan?
Yeah.
Where you were in the room with Hillary, and I knock on the door looking for her, and I'm supposed to kind of toss you into the hallway. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but I thought that would have been very funny just to pay homage to the original. But
because when you didn't give him love, when he tried to bring it in for the real thing, and you just I felt that as a father, I felt that you were like,
and that would have been a good moment to throw Jazz out of the house right there, just to cut to and then see him, you know. But again, this is not comedy.
Point. Yes, but the spin point. I wanted to ask you, as a husband and as a father, what experiences, what perspectives, what black male influences are you bringing to the role of Uncle Phil as a husband and a father? Because I'm really just struck by the theme of reconciliation and vulnerability that Uncle Phil is practicing this season, whether it's with Jeffrey, whether it's with Will, obviously, whether it's with Viv, even apologizing to Aunt Viv after exploding on her. It's just there's just a lot of examples of like owning your stuff, you know, and repairing relationships. But just generally, who are you bringing with you to this role of Uncle Phil? Who and what?
Well, fortunately for me, I have some very strong, positive black male images in my life, in my own family, you know, and my uncles, they're just so inspiring and great examples of leadership and of just good men. And so I tap into them. I tap into the original OG, James Avery, and what he brought. You know, I watched the show religiously growing up in real time and reruns now. So, I mean, just watching him and just the energy and the vibe that he brought to the role. And then Barack Obama, I also, you know, tap into him and just, you know, just his vibe and his swag, his charisma, his leadership. And I just kind of bottle all that up and with my own, you know, twist on it. And that's what you got, you know? And,
love it.
But I really, I learn a lot, myself, with every script. Adrian, myself, think about, okay, how would Phil handle this situation? Even in my everyday life, I'm like, okay, how would Phil approach this? What would he do? Because he's influenced me as a man. So I feel very honored to be, have this role bestowed upon me. And to be honest, originally too, I was hesitant to, jump into these shoes because again, it's, this isn't just a regular role. It's not just a regular character that you get on in a regular audition. I mean, my team was like, Philip Banks, and I thought he was joking. I was like, oh, well, okay, but really? He's like, Philip Banks. And I was like, oh, okay. But then when I read the script, like Jordan said, the script was so good. It was just so well written, so dialed in, so just on the money. And I really connected and it resonated with me. And it was fun. I just enjoyed every scene that I had to put down for that audition. It was just like I was in a flow. I was just in a real great place with it, and it felt special. It felt different than any other audition that I had. So I was just like, you know what? Whatever happens. I had a good time, and we'll leave it to God. And everything worked out, and here we are. Yeah.
Listen, y'all are blessing us with every episode, and thank y'all for blessing the show. So Jordan, speaking of blessings, what was it like having your actual actress mother?
Yeah.
She hid the audition from you, and she plays your mother in the show.
Yes, man, that was crazy because my mom. I don't really know how this goes, but I'm sure I could have a word and being like, hey, this is my mom, and like I want her to play my mom, but I actually didn't do this. My mom told me after she auditioned that she auditioned, and I'm like, what? You auditioned for my mom? And so of course
that's crazy.
Yeah, and I just was like, just so y'all know, someone's auditioning for my mom. Her name is Tosha Story. I was like, just so you guys know, that's my actual mom. So I don't know what which way you want to go with this, because in rumors and stuff, you hear certain stuff that like they might want someone specific to play my dad or my mom, like DJ Jazzy Jeff or Karen Parsons to play my mom or something. I didn't know which direction they were going to go, because we always throw in, we always pay homage and put people from the original, as Tatiana Ali and others. But they ended up, I didn't double back or anything. Like my mom just hit me up and was like, yo, I got the role. And I'm like, what? And I think the best part about that day was, number one, is that it wasn't hard because it's my mom. So like, that's exactly how we respond to each other, stuff my mom would say. And I just be like, mom, but just chill, just chill. But I thought, like you said, how like we're all close. When my mom came that day, my mom had the greatest day ever. Like she almost was crying at the end of the day. Simone, number one, everyone was nice, extremely nice and just open and welcoming to my mother, which is all I could ask for. And on top of that, Simone Joy Jones, she plays Lisa. She got my mom flowers, and like it was, and I didn't ask for these things at all, and that's just how close knit and cool we all are. And they just made my mom feel so at home, and she had a great day. So I'll remember that day forever, because I don't see a lot of, I don't know the word, but it's like, families, you got Martin Sheen and Charlie Sheen and all these great people, but they've never done something together. You got Denzel Washington, John David Washington. We haven't seen them together. And so I thought that was, I thought that was really, really cool, man. And that's one day I'm definitely going to remember for the rest of my life.
That's awesome, dude. Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, I'll tell you something else that's really cool. Jordan and Adrian and Michael. What's really cool is I can't believe we've been talking so long. We haven't even mentioned the obvious. Jordan, you got the best player of all time, his jersey behind you, and the second best player of all time, his jersey right there. I'll let you tell me who's number one and who's number two. What's up with the jerseys behind? You got LeBron and you got MJ. What's up?
Signed too. They both signed.
Number one, they're signed. But here's the thing that you don't know. So in the middle, it's a signed ball, and that's from the late great Kobe Bryant. Kobe.
Oh, wow.
Kobe's in the middle because, for me, Kobe is the best player. Jordan's second. Bron is third. If okay, this is my real answer because are they gonna pay homage? Michael Jordan is 1A, Kobe's 1B, Bron is 2. That's my ranking because you always got to pay homage to the OG. I feel like if you guys have seen Hercules, I feel like Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan is Zeus, the father. He's the greatest of all time. And Hercules at the beginning becomes mortal and he has to get to that point. But at the end of the movie, Hercules is the one. And even Zeus is like, yep, that's my son, but he's the one. He's about to take over. So that's my order. That's my order. No shades, Bron or nobody. It's just that's my order.
Adrian, you
so
got
Kobe was Hercules.
Kobe's Hercules and
Kobe's Hercules. Jordan is Zeus. Okay, cool. Yeah. And LeBron. Who's LeBron?
Bron is like Bron is Bron. Like.
He's just
hey, he's up here. I love Bron to death. Out of the millions of people, thousands and thousands of NBA players ever, I mean, me and my friends have this argument too that like if we're talking about top 3, they're really all the GOAT in their own way. Like you can't really go wrong.
That's right.
They really are.
Talking about the top 3 ever that ever play basketball, they're all the GOAT. Like LeBron's
they're all amazing.
Jordan,
they're all amazing. But I gotta go with. I got to go with MJ for number 1. I'm sorry,
cool.
They're Jordan. I mean, if I had to pick one for my team, I'm going with MJ. He's just he's as he said, Zeus. He's the greatest.
Hey,
I love.
You can't go wrong with MJ, but I think Jalen Rose said this. He said if Michael Jordan is the original, then Kobe Bryant is the remix, baby.
Hey man.
So he's the Bel-Air. Huh? He's the reboot. He's the reboot, the reimagining.
And you guys are so incredible. And I know y'all must chop it up about sports because low key Bel-Air is kind of a sports show. Like basketball is at the center of it. You know what I'm saying? Like low key.
Oh yeah.
And Jordan, I know you got some big things going. Both of you guys got some big things popping. I just watched you with Kayvon Thibodeau in a short film called A Commitment from a couple years ago. Do you still keep in touch? Because Kayvon Thibodeau is our boy. Like at least in our head. Right. We had him on before he got drafted.
That was our draft
That dude
pick.
was incredible. That was our draft pick. Do you still keep in touch with him?
He should have been number 1.
No, Kayvon is cool, man. We're boys, man. I saw him at the party the other week. Like, it's actually my boy. We talk a lot on IG and stuff. Obviously, we're busy and stuff like that. But, like, dude, it's always love when we see each other. Yeah, I remember I did this. This is, he was in high school. He was, like, doing his announcement on ESPN or something. And we have a mutual friend who's actually the director of this video. And you know how dudes are. Like, once we start talking and stuff, we get close. So we exchange information, and we've been cool ever since. I've been rooting for him too, man. I've been rooting for him.
I'm gonna tell you what. I'm
a Cowboys fan, so it's hard to root for the Giants, but it is what it is.
I'm gonna tell you what. After I watched it, I'm like, yo, you busy acting and whatnot, but you could be an interviewer. That wasn't bad at all. You could take our jobs. This was as fun an interview as we could have asked for. You guys are one of the GOAT shows. Y'all are crushing it. Congratulations. Please extend our appreciation to your fellow castmates, the entire crew. Love what y'all are doing. Congratulations on season 3, already renewed for season 3 at Peacock. And we're going to see a lot more of you guys.
And I love your shirt, by the way.
Appreciate it.
Love it.
Got one for every occasion. I had to break it out for y'all. Appreciate y'all, man.
Brother.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So the Warriors are already in uncharted territory, being down 0-2 for the first time in the Steph Curry era. After tonight, might be 0-3, because if they couldn't stop the best offense in the league with their best defensive player, now that Draymond Green has been suspended, how they gonna stop them on the road, no less? I'm just saying that.
You're just saying
things to
instigate me.
We're getting close. We might be getting close,
No, we're not getting close to anything. First of all, they're at home, okay? So they're basically.
They're at home. Sorry, yes, at home.
But
all right, that's right.
Additionally,
I'm used to them starting game 1 and 2 at home. I forgot they were on the road. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Thanks
but additionally, the way you talking is like they're being dominated. That's not what's happening. First of all, they controlled almost all of game 1. So what are we doing here? Like, oh, they couldn't even keep up with the Kings. That's not what those games were. So, you know.
Okay, I'm sorry. I never realized there was a column there. So there's 0-2 and controlling the game.
Well,
is also a part. I didn't realize that's how that works.
They are down 0-2,
Good
but
for
I
y'all.
couldn't account for the league suspending Draymond Green in game 2,
Hey,
which is
it's
what
not-
Michael Holley
Dray-
didn't want to hear. So, but I couldn't account for that.
In game 2? Is that what you said? They suspended him in game 2. That was
kicked out.
That was a
kicked
suspension?
out.
Oh, okay.
No,
okay.
kicked out. I couldn't account for that, and so now he's suspended for game 3.
Draymond Green suspended Draymond Green, ejected for the 17th time in his career, suspended for the 4th time in his career. Hey, Draymond, they're on to you. Stop doing this stuff. Stop doing dumb stuff. But here, I just want to get this, Natalie, on the record. The road record's not real, but the home record is.
No,
right?
the road record isn't real either. Like, if Dre doesn't get kicked out, they were going to win that game. So it's fine.
Okay.
Like,
Were
I
they?
just love, yes, they are. You're a smart man. I loved your
feed.
feed. It was great because, you know, I know that Michael Smith was just trying to push my buttons. They're going to win.
I wasn't pushing your buttons. I'm honestly, no. Why are they going to win? Because they're the Warriors and they're at home? Yes. Because the crowd's going to be on their side? Because the Kings haven't been here before and they're overwhelmed and they have no idea how to deal with a hostile? Is all those things? Is that why they're going to win? Because explain to me how they're going to slow them down without that guy.
Okay, first of all, they don't need to slow them down. Even once Draymond got kicked out the game, they were right there. The issue is now they just, like, you have to adjust on the fly when you lose someone like Draymond in the game. Now they're going to game plan for it. And I'm sorry, like, the Warriors have been their own problem. They've caused their own mistakes, you know? Like our guy Vincent, he had a great hand lines, can't stop hurting themselves. This is not the Kings doing this.
That's been their history throughout this
entire
entire
but what I'm just
dynasty.
saying, but 20 turnovers, like between, so that's them. You just take away some of those turnovers and they win the game. So this is not, it's just playing smarter and executing.
Just that simple.
That's simple.
Just that simple.
They are the more talented team. That's
so now it's
simple.
Warriors in 6, because it was Warriors in 5. Now it's Warriors in 6.
I addressed that the other day. I addressed that the other day. I said I always thought it was 5 or 6. I said that, and it's still Warriors in 6.
Oh, it's 5 or 6.
I said I don't like to hedge. I said I don't like to hedge, and it only goes 6 because they're starting on the road. I said that.
Okay.
What happens in case you missed it next time?
When it's 0-3.
Stop it.
When it's 0-3, we'll see what you got to say tomorrow.
Oh, my God. Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.